We're here. I was we Happy Tuesday, everybody. Or Wednesday if you're in Australia. Chris just woke up and I have a lot going on today. I'm getting ready for my trip. So we might do unless somebody wants to come on and talk or fight or argue about anything. We might do a short stream today. And then we're doing True Detective at 5:30 Central on the Discord.
Oh,
and then I can stream tomorrow for about an hour, and then after that, I have to head out. Hey, good morning. Did you sleep?
She was.
Junie?
She was.
Did you get to sleep?
She woke up.
Oh, she just woke up.
We always woke up.
Well, you pulled an all-nighter in the movie theater, huh?
I mean, it wasn't the intention. I was trying to go to sleep the whole time. I kept getting really. I was nauseous all night, spinning. It was better. It was better than just laying there silently.
Do you take anything for nausea that helps?
Yeah, it's like the vertigo. It's like even I have the magazine for vertigo, the motion sickness and stuff. Doesn't really help that much.
Oh.
I tried to eat a couple of things, I just threw it up and that kind of shit. And plus, it's like it's like the flu thing is like lingering too, so it's like a little bit this, a little bit that. Hey, Jack, what's up?
When is Jeff coming?
Yeah, well, when are you gonna be here? You gonna be here in town?
Oh, yeah. Remind me, and I'll send you my. It's 3 a.m. for you. I'll send you the flight number, and then you can track it and see what gate it's landing at or something. And then I will, when I get off, should I just call you or text? Do I even have your number?
Yeah.
Or I can.
I'll get it to you. I'll make sure I send it to you right after stream.
Okay, and then I'll just call you or something, and you can tell me where you are and figure out if it's easier to meet me where I am or for me to go find you.
Oh, it'll be easy. It'll be easy.
Because I don't know what gate. I don't know what gate I fly out of. I want to be wherever I'm closest to the gate that I fly out of.
I will definitely come meet you. It wouldn't be that bad. I mean, like I've gone up to the DFW airport to meet you before. It's really not a big of a deal.
And then we can try to do a street. I thought we could even do like a street, like bring tourists in to our stream if they want.
I can't remember the place before after the gate.
I can't remember.
Yeah, but we may have to like there's a couple of like cafe things there that before you have to actually go through security. So we'll see what they have. I've been up there in a while, so a couple of years on since COVID. So,
but it looks like so far if it's on time, it's 1:12. So like about 1:00 in the afternoon. Jack keeps falling.
It's like
is he driving or is that his home connection? It keeps. Seems to have a really bad connection.
Probably home. It's probably his driving connection. He's usually okay at home.
Joshua, were you talking to yourself? Chris was up all night watching movies. All right, let's try again.
Okay, sorry. I realized the StreamYard app is like the worst app ever. That's what's going on.
They have an app? You talking about from a phone?
Yeah, on the phone, the app is like, it just doesn't work with any microphone at all. It just like keeps you in and out of the microphone.
But I couldn't find one. Is it Android or iPhone?
You have to get invited. I think after you use it so many times on your phone, it'll invite you on. I'm using Apple, so.
Oh, maybe it's iPhone because I didn't see an Android.
Yeah, I just realized I can't use the app. It just every time I tried to use the app, it's
So are you on the website then? Does it work? Just streaming from the website?
Yeah, for whatever reason, it seems to work pretty good if you try to just connect.
Okay.
Like it forces you to use Safari, and it seems to work okay on that. But it's like every time I try to use the app, it's just connection issues with the audio. It's like just connect you, can disconnect you, back and forth, and it's like unpredictable. How's the sound right now, though? Pretty good.
Yeah,
It's good right now.
Better than it's ever been for you.
Yeah, I'm trying a new headphones that I bought specifically for this kind of stuff, so it seems to be working better. That's good.
Cool. Good. Well, welcome.
Yeah, I came to start a fight with you guys, so you guys will do another like 5-hour screen. I'm just kidding.
That's what we were wanting.
So you're headed to land of the swamps today?
Yeah, true detective territory. Southern Louisiana.
What are you looking forward to other than like the family stuff? Are you going to go check out some interesting cultural stuff or something, or just kind of chill?
I don't know. It depends on what's still down there. It got leveled by a hurricane a few years ago too, so I don't even know what's left. But we talked about doing a stream movie. And so I'm going to collect as much footage as I can in the area that looks like it would make good scenery or backgrounds or plot hooks, atmosphere, anything like that. And then I can always edit it later. So I'm going to try to dock it because it's a return to my memories and my past. And even though I'm not the same person anymore, I'm going to document that experience of what it's like to return and identity and who are you now versus who were you then, because it's my roots. So I want to capture as much of that for my streaming story that I can. Good night, Joshua. We're sure going to miss you. We'll catch you next time.
Good night, Josh.
See ya, Joshua.
Where's he?
What's up, baby?
Where's he live?
But I'm going to be doing it all from my phone. So knowing the right apps to use is going to be.
Joshua's in Vietnam.
Yeah, that's something I've done for years, is try to collect like footage from places I go and stuff like that, and always thought about editing it into a movie. That's kind of why I'm doing like these collage kind of video things right now. Is like I'm just practicing kind of using some of the footage I've built up over the years, because I'm pretty much running out of room on like everything that I own. It's kind of hard to store videos on computers and stuff and not eventually just like lose everything.
What
software
do you do your editing in?
I do everything on my iPhone right now because I just don't like opening my computer anymore. So yeah, I just use the iMovie app for now. And if anybody has any advice on which editing software to use, I would greatly appreciate it, because I've always struggled to find like something easy to use on Windows. So
Same here.
Looking for suggestions.
I mean, Premiere is pretty much the easiest to get. I mean, like it even has built-in tutorials that'll tell you to do everything.
What is that? Sorry.
Just Adobe Premiere. If you don't want to pay their monthly subscription bullshit, then there's always the high seas. So
I have something called Screenshot. My friend told me to download that's free, and I have another one. But I don't know what I'm doing with them when I open them up. Windows has a built-in video editor.
Yeah, it does. It's just clunky and it doesn't have as many features. Like Premiere is really simple drag and drop, and like it'll show you how to do everything you want to do on it. I don't know. I prefer Premiere over the other ones. I prefer Premiere even over Final Cut. And I've got Final Cut too on the iMac. I have in the corner there. I always like it's there. It's just kind of inaccessible because of like all the stuff that's in the way right now. But that's just the way I pulled most of those tracks out the other day. I finally like made some space so I could get over there to get to the iMac. Then there's but I haven't checked prices for a while, but man, if you want storage, man, like I don't like back like when I built my Plex server, I built it using like 3 24 terabyte hard drives I got off Best Buy for like $120 each, and they've lasted like they've been like workhorse 7200 RPM hard drives that run my Plex server. So like I mean like if you need storage for video, I mean there's plenty of it out there. It's been reliable. I've been running that thing for shit. I don't know.
Well, the problem is not only the storage; it's switching back and forth. So, like, trying to drag it back onto your computer and waiting for that to happen. Like, unless you're using all like solid state, very fast, brand new stuff, it's very time consuming. You know, it's like even in iCloud and stuff, it's ridiculously slow to like drag stuff in and out of storage and stuff. It's just like painstaking. Like, I have to leave my computer open and like you can't mass migrate stuff from place to place anymore. Like it used to, I swear to God, like back in like the early 2000s, stuff was like faster than it is now. I feel like maybe I'm just like using, bad stuff, but it's just.
I mean, what ridiculously slow. Do you have a Mac laptop? You have a Mac laptop or a Mac?
No. I just have like a, upper middle range. It's okay. I don't want to talk technicals and ruin the show, but.
Like that's what we're talking about. So I am a techie guy ultimately. So I built all of my computers for my Macs. I've actually rebuilt this iMac. I've taken this thing apart. This iMac I have this 27-inch iMac that's like from 2011, and I have taken that I've fully taken it apart and put it back together like 8 times. I've broken the screen on it. I busted like I replaced the hard drive. I replaced everything with the thing.
It was a disaster.
But
yeah, I'm gonna get a Mac. I think I'm gonna get a MacBook next time because I just think they're expensive, but they seem to like not have problems like any Windows. I think there's just something about Windows. It's like it's never working the way it used to.
If you're an Android person, if you have an Android phone, then having a Windows and thing is you can retransfer back and forth between them. Then having a PC and an Android phone, match made in heaven. If you have an iPhone and anything else that's not an iPhone, anything if it's on a Mac product, you're gonna have hell. I mean, it's just like being an iPhone person. If you want to transfer files between them and use them like that, they'll work great as if you have a Mac. But if you don't have a Mac, then you just kind of forget it, man. I mean, like it's
I've realized that now. Yeah, after a lot of pain.
Unless you want to go the Hackintosh route and learn how to turn your PC into. Now I've done that a couple times. It's worked out really well.
I've just become like, if it's not easy to use, I'm not using it at this point. Like I'm just so tired of trying tech stuff at this point. Like I've just I'd rather pay double the price and it just work instead of trying to figure shit. I used to be like all into like figuring shit out. Now I'm just like, please just work, for God's sakes. Like I'll just pay double. Like I'm just like, that's the point I'm at with technology. It's ridiculous like how much it advanced, and then it's like it just seems that it takes twice as long to learn how to use something than actually use it. It's kind of a draining experience. Tech, I think that's why I think maybe I'm anti-tech. It's like I just had so much experience of just watching it go from like useful to encumbering. And Chris, I'm not trying to derail you, but your audio is, I don't know if it's just me, but your audio is like echoing every time you talk, and every time I'm talking.
Someone said that yesterday too.
Okay, let me check it out. And I was having no trouble with echoing audio for like days and days and days, and now I've got nothing else running. Let me make sure I don't have any other tabs open.
Now I know why everybody hates when I call in, because I think that's what's going on with mine, and I hope that's why I'm trying. I've been trying to fix it for the past few months, of like try to figure out how to use the right headphones or something. And it's like everything I've tried. I think there's just I think it's StreamYard. I think StreamYard just probably just sucks, if I had to guess.
I just don't get it because like half the time it works really well and there's no echo or anything. Nobody has any issues, and then like all of a sudden it's like, oh, there's all these echoes, and it happens to Jeff all the time too. And yeah, you might be right.
Sometimes, and I don't know what makes the difference. Sometimes it echoes, sometimes it doesn't. I don't change anything.
Yeah, and Jeff, your audio is always good. So whatever you're doing it right. It's I don't think you've ever had audio issues. So.
some people have complained about an echo, especially on Discord. Not so much on StreamYard or Zoom, but on Discord I have to use my headset because there's always an echo. I don't know why. What makes the difference?
Yeah, you were talking about something a few days ago that was interesting, like how people used to do like chat rooms. I used to do like video calls back in like 2002, I think. Like I was like calling people all over the country, all over the world on video chat.
Or what was the platform then? I know they had like, was it ICRU or something? The camera network.
I can't remember. I think it was like AIM or some AOL stuff, probably, if I had to guess. Something associated with AOL, probably.
ICQ, maybe.
Maybe, yeah. I was an AOL person until like the bitter end, pretty much. So.
Yeah, me too.
I loved ICQ, man. ICQ had so many features to it. Like you could meet people. They had rooms and stuff. You could do chat rooms. You could do all sorts of stuff with ICQ.
Was that the camera one?
Pretty all right though too. I mean, I certainly started out with AIM.
I think that's where a lot of us are coming from. I think these younger people, like, they really don't appreciate anything because I think they kind of grew up with just kind of.
Well, they had MySpace and Facebook.
Well, I had MySpace too. I thought MySpace was much better than Facebook. I never understood why Facebook. I mean, why
MySpace you can meet new people. Facebook is limited to people you already know.
I mean, it's kind of expanded where you can meet new people on it, but it's not the focus.
Well, it was, yeah. Facebook did work for meeting new people for a while, but then somewhere in the last 5 years or 6 years, they like made it very difficult to, like, I tried to add some people, and it said, "You don't know this person, don't try to add people you don't know." And I was like, "What the fuck, dude? Like, is this social media or is this like something else?" It's very.
In the beginning, you had to be invited. Like, they had to know how to find you to invite you to be their friend. They didn't just have like a list of members you could browse.
Yeah, and even like LinkedIn and Instagram have become like spam, like just kind of everything's spam. Like, everybody like locked down their accounts and stuff.
Yeah, I dread going to LinkedIn.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, LinkedIn's very weird. Like, I tried to use it for networking and stuff, and I just found it's like you pretty much have to pay some expert who knows how to network on there, and I'm just like, I'm not gonna do. Like, it's like I met people who were trying to network as their job, and they tried to recruit me, and I'm just like, and they said, "Oh, I have to go through," and they explained like what they have to go through on LinkedIn, and I'm just like, I'm just not gonna do that. It's like, oh, but you make a lot of money. It's like, yeah, but it's like everybody assumes that you're trying to scam them. So it's like,
is it just to find it? Like, is that what it's mostly used for, or to find employees?
Yes, recruiting. Yep.
Yeah, LinkedIn's just it's a social network for finding jobs.
Well, I don't plan to ever work at other jobs. I don't need LinkedIn.
I guess it dropped out again. Yeah, I always thought it was weird. Like, just same way that like Venmo is like tries to add social things to like paying people, and I never understood like why that is. Like, why do I need like some little like winky social thing for paying somebody $20 or something? Like that. It's like, it just seems like a weird idea. Like, let's make PayPal, but with social aspects. Oh. Excuse me.
I like face-to-face. It's closer to in-person, the better. So that's why I like Zoom and Discord and Stream.
Well, yeah, but at the same time, you don't like getting out and you don't really like getting out and seeing people face to face, do you?
Well, if I had these kind of people locally, yes, I absolutely would.
Yeah, I get you.
I haven't found anybody local that gives me the same experience.
I'm excited.
If anybody's out there, let me know. We'll go hang out.
I'm excited. We haven't. Not much.
Talk to Lindsay for a minute. I can go to the restroom.
Okay.
Oh, Jack dropped off.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, he dropped off a minute ago.
Oh.
Where is he? Vietnam?
No, that's Josh.
Josh.
Jackson, California.
Oh. There he is.
Sorry, I kicked myself out of StreamYard because I'm on the browser.
Oh.
Sorry.
Speaking
Speaking of problems, yeah. But yeah, it's all good. Yeah, I don't know. It's just weird how tech is, and like you said, like I think it's funny what you said. Like you just don't want to work a job anymore. It's why do you say that? That's interesting because more and more people I meet say the same thing.
Because I'm tired of getting fired. I don't want to work for somebody else. If I can do it for myself.
Why do you think you?
I'm a better boss to me than any other person can be. I just don't trust. I've been fired too many times. I don't trust employers not to fire me because every time I get hired, they promise me up and down they're not going to fire me and they're going to do all these like steps before they fire me, and they still fire me anyway. So I don't trust employers. I've been burned too many times. And the DEI crap. I'm not sitting through any DEI training. I'm not using pronouns in my email. None of that.
Yeah. No, I had a similar experience in my.
And I've never been fired by men. This has all been women, and it's never been about anything work related. It's how you make them feel in the workplace. And the minute you make them feel a certain way, they start wanting you out of there.
Yeah, during the C-19 thing, I was the only one in the whole building who basically was like, they're trying to like push this the mask thing on me, and I was just like, you guys realize you're trying to force a grown man to cover his face? It's like, you guys recognize that, right? And they're like, well, this is just what we do. And it's like, I understand what you're saying. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, you're trying to force me to do something, put this thing over my face for something that doesn't seem to have any scientific evidence for it. You guys understand that, right? And the women in the office were just looking at me, and like some of them like understood what I was saying, and then other were like obviously like very uncomfortable around me, and they're like, why are you so serious? It's like, because you're telling a grown man what to do with his body and threatening his job over it. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, and I was not very nice about it, But I didn't say anything bad. I just like speaking very directly, and it's like, they didn't fire me, but I'm sure if I had stayed a little bit longer, I would have. So
you ended up leaving anyway?
Yeah, I just left because I just couldn't. I mean, I think much like how you're saying your attitude was towards them, it's like I just had been through so much shit over the years of like, keeping companies basically afloat and, going way beyond my scope of work, including at this place. And then it's like, when someone who has some other agenda that has nothing to do with the work, like this kind of situation, comes along, it's like, well, F you, you need to get in line and listen. It's like, no, that's not how this works, and I'm just not going to operate that way. It's just
what kind of work was
it? Sales and IT and some other stuff, but mostly sales.
So it was like an office setting?
Yeah. And, and I've always worked in different offices, but it mostly for like smaller sized internet companies. And it just gets to the point where it's like people want to control you for, like you said, it has nothing to do with actual work related stuff. It's always like personality shit or something like that.
Yes. I do great work. I've never had a bad performance review. In fact, I get excellent performance reviews. It's not about the quality of the work. I usually work circles around the other people in the office.
I was the same one. Yeah, I mean, pretty much everyone was like, "Oh, you're always here. You stay late. You work hard."
Yeah, as long as you're doing the work and producing reliable outcomes. Men don't care about that. It's women that care about that non-work stuff, all that social stuff.
Yeah, and then in sales in particular, you'd have a bunch of women come and they basically like want to control the office with their sexuality or with their, they're unhappy with something. Therefore, let's change the entire environment of the office. And I was one of the only people who was just like, no, I'm not going to change the way I do things for you because it has nothing to do with what we're doing here, right? Like, and half the day would be wasted, comforting some lady who was uninterested in the outcome for everybody else, and it just got exhausting because all the guys would say, oh, I'm just trying to do my job, but the truth is they were just trying to like get laid. And it just got to the point where it's like, what's the point? Like, what are we doing here? It's and like I go back and nothing's really changed. And then also, like, I'll also say this, like, I obviously live in a very ethnically diverse place, and in this particular workplace, and from what I heard, a lot of others, one manager of a certain ethnicity gets in, and basically he just replaces everyone who is either currently management or current or on their way to become management with people of his kind. And it's not because he particularly likes them, but it's because he thinks he can control them. You know what I mean? And, yeah. So it's basically like if you go to my work now, it's like literally all Chinese people who are management, and then everyone else is not Chinese. So it's like okay.
Wow. Is that
yeah, I've seen that happen before too.
You have?
Yeah.
Like replaced it with your own people?
Yeah. I've also seen just like the main phenomenon I've come across is just whenever people like it's just whenever someone who gets to their position because of like charisma and like buddy with like management and heads up so they do the job, and so they really resent anybody who actually knows how to do the job because it makes them look bad. I've seen that happen a bunch of times.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's basically what happened with me. Like because I wasn't officially a manager. I mean, I was a manager by title, but effectively, like I just did sales. And then, a lot of the staff started listening to me and not to the, supposedly higher manager. And then they got pissed off about it, and they just like basically just try to like make my job harder out of spite. And I'm just like, why would you? I'm pretty sure the people who run this company don't really appreciate you causing drama because you're, offended or something, and yeah, it's just ridiculous. It's just like you have to, half your day is involved in politics with like low level people. It's exhausting to say the least. And they would take me back there, but I just like I said, here's my demands, and they said, okay, we can talk about it. It's like, no, either you're gonna say yes or I'm not coming. So
Get our money.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I can do better on my own.
Venmo?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think doing on your own is good, and that's what have been doing, and I'm trying to continue to do. But it is very difficult because everything does fall on your own shoulders for all the responsibility, of course. So.
Mama's friend.
She sent us $100.
Oh, it's a terrier.
I'm a fake manager.
Yeah, that's pretty much exactly where I was at. Yeah, I mean, basically, I was manager by title, but I was just ended up doing all the sales and got screwed over, and then trained a bunch of people, and yeah, pretty much, yeah. I know the feeling.
Yeah.
So do you want to start? So do you want to start your own?
Which one did you send it to?
I don't know. She just said
Chris, can you mute when you're Sorry, it's like echoing in my ear. So very hard to concentrate. I was saying, do you want to start your own like psychology firm or something like that?
Well, I started my own practice already earlier this year. So I have I do online peer counseling.
That's awesome.
It's all those things I was doing in person. I just do it online now. I lost my job. I got fired 3 days before COVID. So when COVID started, I figured out how to do it all online. I discovered Zoom, started doing groups and one-on-one and all that, just like I was doing in person. And I could do it, I had a bigger reach because I could do it with people from all over the world. I didn't have to just do it with local clients. And so it really expanded my capacity.
Did you find the hardest part of working for a firm before was like their choice for you as far as your clients, or was it just purely the politics of the internal stuff?
The politics, the coworkers or the bosses, like anybody that had a problem with me for whatever reason that had nothing to do with my work. Because if they were there doing their work, there was no reason for all of us not to work as a team and just continue to keep the place running. But they suddenly would focus in on all kind of little things about me that had nothing to do with their work or mine.
Yeah, that was the funny thing. Like during the like middle of the C-19 thing, it was really interesting for me because we lost like all management. So basically, it was like a skeleton crew of like five people, and I was one of the five. And then, all the upper management basically all the middle management basically got fired. So we were just kind of like running the show ourselves, and everything was pretty smooth during that time. But as soon as everyone came back and all the people got back involved in the politics of the office, like very quickly, everyone turned on each other because of the politics that came with that whole new set of middle management. And then, like you said, the HR stuff just got like out of control. Like all these new people came in and said, here's our new rule book and you have to sign this or you have to leave, and we're not firing you. It's just like, and the straw that broke the camel's back is like you have to spit into a cup every week to make sure that you don't have COVID. And I was just like, you guys want my genetic material to have a job. Like, you guys don't think that's disturbing, right? I don't know. That was kind of like the breaking point for me.
So you just left?
Yeah, well, the day that they started doing that was like 12 hours before my son was born, pretty much. So, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But, I mean, I was just kind of like hitting my breaking point. And then, I took some time because I had a kid. I had time, and I took my time off. And then, they offered, of course, they wanted me to come back. And I was just like, I'm not sure if I want to come back. And then I came to see them like, 3 or 4 times and tried to talk about it. And then just every time we got into the nitty gritty, they're like, I don't know. It's just, when people don't really treat you like another human being, I just can't really go anywhere with it. They're like, well, basically, it doesn't matter what you think, it doesn't matter what you feel, it doesn't matter what your opinion is. You're going to get in line and shut up and do what you're told regarding this health stuff.
Anywhere. I'm there because it's a mutually beneficial arrangement.
Yeah, well, and I'll tell you what it was. It wasn't only the fact that they tried to do that to me. It was that I was the only one who voiced an opinion on it, because a lot of other people had voiced to me privately that they felt the same way as me. And I was like, well, how come you don't open your mouth so I don't look like the asshole? And they're like, oh, well, I feel like I need this job and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, and it just made me sad. You know what I mean? I was like, I can't, it's like, it put me in position.
They're herd animals.
Yes, and it just and especially in sales, it was just kind of like eye-opening to me, because like some of the people that I really respected is like, oh, these guys are independent thinkers, they think for themselves. It just really showed me that it's like people put on a big facade of who they are, but at the end of the day, people just kind of, like you said, they just become like a herd animal, and they just kind of get in line and hide what they are, I guess, and I don't know, I just found it maybe it is my problem, but I'm okay with that. like at the end of the day, it's like I have to live with myself, and that's what I told. I was like, I have to be able to live with myself at the end of the day, right? Like, I have to wake up, I have to look at myself in the mirror and say, okay, I accept who I am, and I guess they can do that, but I couldn't do that. So, it wasn't only the vax and all that. I mean, you know, and it wasn't even just the mask. It was just like the lack of humanity is the best way I can put it. You know, because I know, for example, like you got the vaccine and stuff, right? I didn't go around telling everybody don't get it, don't get it. I mean, if somebody really asked me my opinion, I told them that I'm suspicious of it. But you know, I didn't say, oh, don't go get it. I just said, hey, you know, like, I mean, I studied biochemistry. I wanted to basically work for pharmaceutical companies when I was a young guy. So like, I know a little bit more than the average person. You know, not a ton, but I know a little bit more. And for me, it was just like the fact that we couldn't have an open discussion about it, and the fact that, like I said, like they were trying to force me to, you know, comply or else, and I just found it. No kick, sorry. And you know what I mean. It's just one of those things. I don't know. Like you and I disagree on, you know, the vaccine stuff, but it doesn't affect me talking to you. And also, I'm a Christian, you're a Satanist, and it also doesn't affect me, you know, being able to like treat you like a human being. You know what I mean?
I mean, vaccines are not something to take that personally to me. It doesn't matter to me what somebody else does with the vaccine.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that was the other thing is like they tried to I think that was another thing is like when the new management came in, this is before they were mandating it, but essentially the conversation went something to the effect of, oh, you're just selfish if you don't want to do it. They didn't say this directly to my face, but this was like, you know, the official company meetings and shit. And I was just like, you got to be fucking shitting me. You know, it's like you want to sit here and moralize this like it's a, you know, a duty or something, you know. But, and this is before the vaccine came out. This is before it was even really available. And I was just like, it was just, I don't know. It was just really bizarre, to say the least. I mean.
Well, that was one of the main thing that turned me from the left was George Floyd and all of that. But the other thing, which happened a little later, was watching how people that didn't get the vaccine got treated. And it absolutely disgusted me. They were ostracized. They were made pariahs. They were taunted, excoriated, chastised. People were just downright hateful. And when I saw that, like the way that people were getting treated just because they didn't want to get the vaccine, I didn't want to be associated with that side at all either.
Yeah, I mean, it got to the point where I couldn't even walk into restaurants because I didn't have the vaccine and I didn't have a QR code and all, and I didn't want to wear a mask and shit. Like I remember standing on a sidewalk at a restaurant where they was pick up only. They had a plastic over the door and they just had like a little hole with a table and they just handed you your food. And I was like 15 feet away from the thing and they're like trying to yell at me, you need to put on a mask. And I'm like, I'm 15 feet away from your door on the sidewalk. You know what I mean? I was just like, this is, you know, it just got to like this like silly level of communist stuff. And like if you go to China or somewhere like that, like I have been to some communist countries, and like over there I would expect it. Here, the fact that people were so comfortable with it like truly shocked me. You know, it really truly like I don't want to say it frightened me, but it certainly was like surreal. It was like almost like dream state. Kind of like
some of it was safety, but then people also turned it into this virtue signaling. Like they used it to signal.
Oh, it was purely what I experienced.
Status, because they were looking down on the people that didn't.
Oh yeah, no, and that's also the other thing is like it was purely the virtue signaling. When people were legitimately afraid for their health, of course I'm going to respect them, and I would even put on a mask. That's totally different than just like this like nagging whatever, you know, like this nagging I guess virtue signaling. That's what I really had a problem with. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, I got the shot only because my doctor was already kind of a conspiracy quack as it was. I mean, he was always telling me about to be wary about this and that, and I mean, he was kind of paranoid himself. And so, like, whenever he told me, it's safe, don't worry about it. I mean, I got it. Everybody in the office got it. And, we're all fine. And I don't think you got anything to worry about. I mean, it was good faith. He wasn't deceiving me so that I would get the vertigo type thing. He had no idea what happened. I don't think it was. I don't think anybody, for the most part, I think anybody was peddling it. I mean, it certainly wasn't getting money out of me. Really, there was barely any money involved. It was $50 off the insurance. It wasn't like he was trying to up the bill or something like that.
No, and to be fair, like most people I know who got it were fine, but certainly, I think that telling every healthy person in the country you got to get this, I mean, isn't scientifically sound. Unless we were literally dealing with maybe the bubonic plague or something like that, maybe then, or not even that, because that's not really that transmissible. But you know what I mean? Something very virulent that you just can't get rid of. And again, this disease was really bad. I will admit that. I felt very, very extremely sick more than once. So.
Oh, you caught it?
Well, I mean, I assume I felt extremely sick, the most I've ever felt in my life. 3 or 4 times in the past 3 years. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's something going around. I mean, whether it's exactly that or something else, I don't know. But
did you lose your sense of taste or smell? Because if you didn't.
Oh yeah, for months. Yeah, for months I pretty much couldn't
that was
smell correctly and stuff. So.
It's the only flu-like thing I ever had that made that happen to me. And that happened to me way back before it was even it had before it even had the convenient name. There was this thing that was just going around back in the January of that year before it became a pandemic.
Yeah, for me it was in November of 2019. I got extremely sick, the most out of everyone in the office. But everyone in the office got very sick. But I was bedridden for a week, and then around the time that officially became a problem, we all got sick again, and I also was basically bedridden for another week. And yeah, I mean, I literally thought I was dying. So yeah, I mean, I get it. You know what I mean? I do understand that there was something going around. So I was never this person who said, "Oh, there's no disease at all." I believe that there was something happening. I just didn't agree that, I knew for one thing that the things that they were telling people to do to mitigate it was not scientifically sound. That's what I knew.
I really don't understand this thing though, that where they say well, the vaccine, it wasn't 100%, it didn't really stop transmission, but it did keep people from getting fully hospitalized and stuff. And I'm how does that even work? How does a vaccine just reduce symptoms? Because a vaccine should either inoculate you against them or not, right? I mean, do I misunderstand how vaccines work? That makes it sound like it was just mitigation medicine, not really a vaccine at all. That doesn't seem to sound close to being a vaccine to me.
Well, I understood it as inoculation, but there was only a window of time that you had. It would wear off eventually.
Right, and I don't understand the whole argument.
It reduced your chances of catching it, which slowed the spread, but then it also reduced your symptoms if you did catch it. So it could do either or both of those things.
That's what I don't get. I don't understand how it reduces symptoms, because that's not how any other vaccine works. If you get the flu vaccine, it'll either give you the flu or you don't get the flu. If you get the polio vaccine, you don't have a chance of getting some of the symptoms of polio. You know what I mean? I just always thought that was a little weird. I do think there's some fuckery going on with the definitions of what it was that they're giving us that makes where I don't think the vaccine they gave us was necessarily really a vaccine. It was more of a mitigation tool, which I mean I would have been fine with. That's the thing is I don't understand why they felt the need to lie.
I don't think they were lying at all. I think for a lot of people it did give them some kind of immunity, and then for some, the ones that didn't, it reduced the symptoms.
That's just not what a vaccine does in my understanding. But I mean, I do think the pharmaceutical.
Well, is that making you a paranoid conspiracy theorist? Just because your definition of vaccine is that, and this kind of worked slightly differently. Like it was intentional, and they deceived us by calling it a vaccine.
I do think they, but I mean they've already admitted they covered things up though. It's like stuff that's admitted. That's like not. It's on the record. It's not like it's not conspiracy theory. They have said people have said from
the conspiracy part is that they tried to pass off something that was not a vaccine as a vaccine to fool you into thinking.
I don't believe they did it to like put 5G antennas in our blood or anything like that. I'm saying that I think they overinflated what they knew it could do and what they knew its effectiveness was in order.
I don't think they knew. There wasn't enough like definitive trial to say like that they knew what it was going to do. I think it was partly experimental.
Yeah, it was, but like they kept saying it was 100% safe, though, and it wasn't.
I don't know anywhere where they said it was 100% safe. Even when I went to get the vaccine, they gave me this list of side effects, and they went over them with me to make sure I understood them. No one ever told me, "Oh, we guarantee this is 100% safe."
They gave me a list of temporary side effects, like it could make you a little dizzy. No one ever gave me a list of anything that said like this could cause like permanent this, permanent that, permanent that. You know?
They did with me.
Did they? They listed things.
Yeah, I got it done at the local clinic, one of the local clinics here, and you had to wait in this lobby, and they gave you a list of side effects, and you had to sign all this paperwork that you understood. And then when they went to jab you, the nurse would verbally go over some of them, and you had to like initial that he gave you all this information.
You know, and actually, I think that that's also a state thing because I feel as if, actually, I hate to say this, I think the liberal states actually covered their ass a lot better. And also, I suspect that if there was any conspiracy stuff going on, that it was the liberal states that got the stuff that wasn't as tainted, and it was the red states that didn't. And again, I hate to say that, but
I will say,
I don't think it was a conspiracy. By the way, I don't think it was like this. I don't think it was anybody.
Well, the way you were talking, you're like they lied, they knew.
Okay, yeah, I was using general language, but I'm saying that. So I do think there were people at the pharmaceutical companies that overstated the effectiveness and like the actual effects of what they knew it could do, and also how safe it was. I do think there were people especially in the media and stuff, that definitely, I think they did it. And honestly, I do think they did it with good intentions. I think they did it with the intentions of trying to help the public health and everything. There might have been a few bad actors in there, but I think 99% of everyone who was saying this stuff was saying it because they really believed that it was for the best for everybody. I do believe that. I do believe that, honestly. Despite what happened to me or anything else like that, I do not think it was in any way. I don't think my doctor or anybody else involved in that chain of events was a bad actor in that sense. Nobody was intentionally trying to infect me or anybody else with vertigo or anything, or long COVID or any of that shit. I do not think that. I think that even though I do think there were bad actors somewhere involved because that were just in total money, there was probably somebody that covered up a number here and there they shouldn't have. But no, I don't think it was a conspiracy in that sense. No, I don't think it was like some evil cabal of people that were deciding that we're going
I'll
to
take it.
Well, and to be fair, I also think that even if there was something like that, I think that there's an equal amount of it as far as like this whole like suddenly died meme going around where everyone's like, oh, this person got the shot and they're dead now. And it's like, even if that's true, the fact that so many weird people are like posting that and still running with that and trying to get everybody to be all like scared and stuff, you know what I mean? It's like, I think that it's just, that's what I'm saying, is like the whole thing is just so bizarre because, and the thing is, like you said, like, I think that, I don't even say that, like, I'm not even saying that, that the idea of trying to get people to take a treatment is necessarily bad. I mean, I do think it should be optional 100%. But it almost seemed to me that like the overzealousness push of it was just like, almost the weirdest part of it. You know what I mean?
There's some kind of.
I don't even think Fauci for the most part had bad intentions. I think Fauci might have been trying to cover up some things about the lab stuff. I mean, that was like cover his ass kind of thing. I don't.
But by the way, real quick, I have a friend who's a fairly successful YouTuber, and he said he got the only warning or strike or whatever he got banned for something, but the only warning or strike he got outside of that was for COVID.
Okay,
I don't remember what specifically, but there was something that they flagged as harmful to the public.
Yeah, and so I'm trying to be as careful as possible, but we should definitely jump off of it just to be on the safe side.
Right. I mean, but to be clear, everything I was just saying just now was actually pro vaccine and pro. I do think that for the most part it was was probably better for the population than not. I think the benefits were in the positive, not the negative. I don't even think Fauci himself was like acting in bad faith per se, and like most of the things he did. I think like there might have been some weird stuff with the lab leak stuff or something like that, but I don't really give a shit. People are obsessed about like the origins of it and everything at this point. Who gives a fuck? I think for the most part people were acting in the best faith they could to try to deal with a situation that they were afraid was going to be much worse than it really was. I don't think the disease was as bad as people expected it to be, but then again, but I would rather them over respond to that than under respond. I think they ultimately, I think our government did a pretty okay job. I don't think that our government was evil or complicit and all this stuff like that. I'm actually on the positive side of that. So I'm gonna make sure that's clear. I just feel like there was I do feel like there was things about it that were definitely not that they weren't honest about. But even Fauci himself, he made the thing with the mask thing. He's saying, because in the beginning, remember how he said like you didn't need masks, and then he went back on it because he's like, well, yeah, we had to tell people they didn't need masks because we need the masks for the hospitals and shit like that. I'm just saying there was a history of deception in that chain of events. I don't know which things were deceptive. Maybe that was the only one, and maybe that was it. But I do think that that in itself was kind of fucked up.
No, none of it bothered me nearly as much. The thing that bothered me the most was when all of a sudden it was okay to go out and protest, and they completely did a 180 on the guidelines when it came time to rioting out in the streets after telling everybody to stay home and take precautions.
I mean, but what's your take on that? You think that was it that it wasn't really severe enough to need that kind of lockdown?
No, I think they prioritized politics over any severity that it may have had. I don't think they changed their position on the severity of it. I think they just decided this BLM stuff was more important.
You think it was 100% just a good faith, like they just really wanted people to protest over this, and there was nothing else like underneath that at all?
There was no medical reason to suddenly change. Like if this was the catalyst for the change, like they're telling us one thing the whole time: social distance, stay inside, wear mask in public, et cetera, et cetera. And all of a sudden, the only thing that changed was that there were these political protests. And all of a sudden, the guidelines were altered so that people could go out and do these protests in order to support people's ability to do protests. I would have stressed, guys, this is not the time to protest. We're in a pandemic. Let's deal with the health risk. That's more important. You can always protest. But they didn't. They're like, go out and protest. It's fine now all of a sudden.
But it wasn't the best evidence. It wasn't okay to do a lot of other things like that. I don't know.
Well, and the best evidence for that.
The same people that when the Republicans wanted to get together for family dinners and stuff, or that motorcycle rally and everything, they would like stigmatize them and demonize them and say how
they're like killing grandma and grandpa.
But then when it was the left side to do it, they didn't get any of the same rhetorical treatment that the Republicans did when they wanted to gather.
Yeah.
So it seemed politicized. There was something political about it. Watching one side get treated very differently than the other side.
I don't know. Maybe they secretly wanted a bunch of leftists to catch COVID and die, and they really want to protect the Republicans. That was during Trump's presidency, after all. Maybe it was his guidelines. He was like, yeah, no, fuck those lips. I'm joking, Jeff. That's a joke. No. That's not serious. I don't think that was the case. I was just joking, I seriously don't. Even though I indulge in conspiracy type like thinking and stuff like that because I like to follow the threads of logic to their extent, but I'm really not. And you can ask Lindsay. Lindsay is
what threads of logic are you following? Because that's my big
I'll
criticism.
explain. I'll explain.
Theories is the threads of logic break down. There is no thread.
I can explain briefly without saying anything to get us in trouble. If you were ruler and you needed to manipulate people and they're not smart enough to understand what you're saying, so you kind of tell them things that they need to hear, not what they want, or you tell them things they want to hear, not what they necessarily need to hear as far as truth is concerned, and because you want to get them to do certain things. I mean, if I were a leader, you would have to operate in such a manner if you didn't want chaos. Machine sent a quote to me yesterday. I can't remember who said it, but something along the lines of, if Athens was all Socrates, all of Athens would just be a mob because people were asking too many questions, essentially. You know what I mean?
Well, even Plato advocated for the noble lie. But we don't have those kind of rulers in America. It's not a dictatorship.
Oh, I beg to differ, but I understand why you would believe that. I mean, I'm not even saying it's necessarily quote unquote.
I watch our leaders changed out every election cycle.
I think that there's a background leadership that.
So I see the accountability happen in action.
Sure. Well, what I'm saying is, I think that there's a military dictatorship that supersedes Biden. Is kind of what I'm getting at.
Well, I believe that.
That's very interesting.
I think it's generally true. I mean, do you really disagree? Do you really think the president really has that much power, Jeff? I mean, do you really think he does? I mean, I haven't thought that.
What power am I making claims for about the president? In fact, I'm saying we don't have those kind of leaders.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I'm saying. Okay. I
didn't say a thing about. I'm talking about our whole government. I'm not even talking about Biden in particular.
He was just saying, I think the same thing for Trump. I think the same thing for all of the presidents we've had. I think they're mostly figureheads, and they're the cabinet and the other people behind the scenes run things.
There's checks and balances. It's not any one person or group running anything. It's checks and balances. And I watched Trump try to pull and get away with so much crap that he couldn't even get away with, even with a Republican Congress and a Republican Supreme Court.
Yeah, I agree. And I do agree on that point, by the way. I don't disagree with you on that point. I just want to make that clear. I agree, and I think that it doesn't have to be one chattery little group, but I think that the checks and balances still allow for people with overarching plans that don't necessarily line up with the average person's best interest in mind.
Well,
to kind of
I'll take it a step further, Jack. I would say that I think a lot of the time these people, the people that have that have ulterior motives or are doing things that are a little bit shadowy or something like that, I think a lot of times they do, at least in their minds, they do believe they have the best interest of people in mind. It might be an elitist mentality. It might be this mentality.
Oh yeah, no, I agree, and I think John.
Even though we may not think it's the best interest, but I think to them, they really do believe they're the good guys. They're doing the right thing for the right reason for the right people, and I do think they believe that. I do think that they are.
Oh yeah, and Joshua Jones is a great example of that, in my opinion. Yeah, I think Joshua Jones is a great example of that. And again, this is not. I'm really not talking crap about people. I'm saying, essentially, I agree with you, but all I'm saying is that where are people getting their morals from is really the question at the end of the day.
That's not the government. Hopefully, that's not the role of government. I don't feel there's nothing in my life that I feel has been manipulated or controlled by some shadowy group in the government. What in your day-to-day life do you feel like you can't do, or would you be doing, but for this sinister cabal of elites influencing it?
Well, I'll just say the simplest thing for me is just, if you look at the way money is dealt with in this world right now, it is basically a great way to grow an economy, and it's probably the worst thing you could possibly imagine if you want people who are able to think for themselves and truly try to disconnect from the quote unquote economy because they don't agree with the direction it's going. You know what I mean? Like for me, that's the funny thing about the climate change. Like I am someone who thinks that humans are destroying the environment in ways other than what we're talking about. And you really can't help but participate in that because of the way that the system is set up. That's like a very basic way I'll try to describe it. You know?
So like people are intentionally setting it up a certain way because they benefit from the way we currently live, like the petrochemical companies.
You know, I can't say exactly why, but more or less that's a good way to describe it.
If that's the case, that's just business interest. It's not this plan to socially engineer.
And I agree. A lot of that stuff is just business interest. Absolutely, it's business, and it's no more shady than your regular embezzlement type stuff, right? It's just like fudging the numbers here and there, the type of thing that you see white collar crime stuff that people go to jail for. That's mostly the kind of stuff I'm talking about.
I'm just talking about legitimate business, not even the corrupt, shady stuff.
No, well, the difference is it's legalized. The difference is it's legalized embezzlement. It's legalized fraud. It's legalized all this BS.
If that's a contradiction, because if it's legalized, then it can't be fraud or embezzlement.
Well, morally and legally, I would put in two separate categories, but I get your point. I mean, it's fair. I'm using incorrect terminology.
It's certainly not fraud in that sense. You're right. It's still something we would have considered fraud before it was legalized, but at some point it might have been considered fraud. But
and I'll give you an example of like a very mundane version of conspiracy that maybe you can entertain, right? For example, when Clinton allowed them to pass a law, I think it was the Glass-Steagall or whatever, where they allowed a commercial and
like Congress passes the laws, and
but I'm saying during his administration, that law was passed or whatever, and they also forced people to get loans that they couldn't afford, probably for good, well-intentioned reasons. But the consequence of that.
Hang on. How do you force someone to get a loan?
I'm sorry, I didn't say forced to get a loan. I didn't mean that. What I'm saying is the banks were forced to give loans to people who couldn't prove that they could actually pay them.
I didn't understand that other joke. You said forced to get a loan?
A loan.
Forced to get a loan.
From the bank.
I'm saying the banks were forced to give loans to people who couldn't pay them. But the reason why they wanted that is because essentially they were able to repackage and sell it as derivatives or some shit, right? So my point is
the big short stuff. Yeah.
Right. So my thing is, here's my conspiracy about that. I think that there are certain people in the world that don't want people to have the level of autonomy that comes from owning outright property, especially real estate. And so by doing such things, they artificially drive up the cost of owning land and homes and things as an average citizen, right? And then you're desperate because you don't actually own anything, so you're always a renter rather than an owner, because only owners really have the ability to leverage things when it comes to politics. So that's kind of like where I go with conspiracy.
Who would be, like, the system is so big, who are these people that have the power to control this?
The people who have the power to make monetary policy.
And how does that connect with the ability to buy land?
Because it centralizes control of interest rates. It centralizes printing of money for whatever reason.
The interest rates, it makes it harder for the average person to acquire property.
If I get a $400,000 loan now, I'll pay $1 million in interest over 30 years. 10 years ago, it would be like less than half of that.
So somebody's sitting in the federal government raising interest rates to keep the poor people from acquiring property, is what you think? Deliberately, because we don't want a certain class of people.
We have money to go blow up women and children all over the world, but not to house and clothe and have a farm for every man, woman, and child in the United States. That's kind of where I'm coming from.
And so you infer that leads to deliberate, like, suppression of people's ability to acquire.
Well, if you wanted America to be the way that someone like Thomas Jefferson envisioned, for example, agrarian society where people have autonomy to decide whether they want to participate in war or participate in economies that do things against their interests, you would necessarily want people who are not dependent on the state. But it seems that the state is doing everything in its power to force people to be dependent on A, the economy, and B, the government. So yeah, I think that's a real problem, in my opinion. And I mean, as a Satanist, I think you can appreciate, like, if you want to be free from the government or you want to be free from control, that you would want the ability to kind of like have independence from, like you were saying about your work, for example, right?
That's why it's hard for me to adopt all this, because I feel like I do have all that. And I don't see anybody trying to interfere with that, really. When I started my business, it brought me under another set of regulations that were a little less free, that I have to make compromises with, but that's the price of doing business. Like, and even that is not terribly burdensome. Like, I have to file taxes 4 times a year instead of once a year, and that kind of stuff.
But, you know, comparing yourself to someone who, let's say, is in the 40th generation of wealth that has access to, you know, the best lawyers in the world and unlimited resources because he owns a bank. I mean, you know, it's really hard to say that you could compare your level of freedom to someone like that. And primarily what I'm trying to argue is that it's because people are willfully ignorant about the way money works, for example, right? If people knew that they were getting
I'm one of those
totally
people.
screwed.
I'm very ignorant about it, but even with that ignorance, I don't feel like there's anything in my life that I can't do, that somebody's keeping me from doing. Like, even if I wanted to buy property, I feel like I have the ability to make a living.
Well,
and
do you
have the money, right?
Do you have the ability to go buy an acre of land that is
but I have the ability to acquire that ability. Nobody's stopping me from making a living. Nobody's stopping me from succeeding at that level if I want to.
Do you have the ability to stop corporations coming in and destroying your hometown by building a bunch of stuff that nobody wanted because they want to move in some biotech company that's gonna.
Yeah, because I remember this town in Louisiana growing up that the Walmart wanted to come in, and the whole town boycotted it, and eventually had to shut down and leave. So it depends. Like, a lot of it's determined at the local level. And I remember in Vegas there was a big political move they wanted to open a new super Walmart, and I think they got it shut down or delayed or something.
Sure. Well, I'll give you.
Walmart come in still does not restrict my ability to raise capital or buy land. It doesn't encroach on me in any way.
Well, any way that you can perceive is what you're really saying.
Well, I have to be able to perceive it as long as I'm free to pursue wealth or property. I have to be able to perceive something that's interfering with that. Like, and if something's truly interfering with it, I think I would notice when I try to pursue it and I'm not able.
I love you.
That has not happened to me yet.
Well, you don't really have an option to look elsewhere either. I mean, you don't have the freedom to really choose a different system to operate within. So if you never see the alternative, then you don't have anything to compare it to. It's kind of also the issue, right?
Well, I was born into capitalism, and I'm probably going to be in it my whole life. So I don't know what other system I would even.
Capitalism is the best system we've got. There's no doubt about that. There's no doubt about that. Capitalism is the best system we've got. It can be. It's very corruptible, unfortunately, but so is every other system. I just want to say.
I would.
Okay, go ahead. No,
I was just gonna say that I would argue that we're definitely in a mixed economy. I don't think we're in anything approaching a quote unquote pure capitalistic society at all. I think we're at best a mixed economy, but go ahead.
What's it mixed with?
Communism.
Socialism, not communism.
You're talking about like expanded Medicaid and EBT and the social safety net. But none of that stops.
That's the least of my concern. I actually don't have a problem with the social safety net compared to almost anything else. That's like, I think that's where Republicans are totally wrong, in my opinion.
Yeah, I like our mixed economy. I don't think pure cut capitalism or certainly not pure socialism would be a good idea at all. I think the mixture of the two is probably the best thing we come up with so far. I just want to shout out Summer in Time real fast because she's one of our favorite viewers, and she did ask, did you just claim yourself as a Satanist, Jeff? So
yes, I am a non-theistic Satanist.
A non-theistic Satanist. So I mean, yeah, I could have answered that for her, but I just wanted to put that out there.
And yeah, hey, Summer, good to see you.
Well, and Jeff, I just want you to know, even though you don't believe in Satan, Satan believes in you.
He doesn't need me, Satan does not love you. He's not this God you turn to for love and comfort and support. He doesn't give a shit about you.
He's a fictional literary device.
Yeah, he's there for inspiration and for you to draw on to do something.
Do you look at Jesus as like the opposite?
I don't owe him anything, and he is not concerned with me.
I don't even think that Jesus saw Satan as the opposite of Jesus.
We're getting Gnostic. We're getting Gnostic right now.
I almost see them as two different mythologies.
I'm talking about Jewish and Christian Bible. If you look at the Jewish Bible, and when the few times that Satan and not when it was conflated with Lucifer, whenever Satan was actually invoked and when it was used, it was like the story of Job and what's the story there? Satan just kind of like waltzes up to God and he's like, "Hey God," I mean, it's really casual. He's like, this Job guy. I bet he'd curse your ass in a minute if you took away all the nice stuff he's got. And God's like, bullshit. And like that's the story of Job. I mean, the whole thing is like this weird, like it's kind of like the story of Trading Places. It's like these two rich dudes like fucking with this guy just to see how fast he'll turn on him.
That's a good point. That's a good point about that movie. Actually, it's funny.
Yeah, and then you got like the Satan once again, the Satan that's mentioned in the Bible when it comes to Christ being tempted in the desert. And even though he might, he's there in the role of opposer, but that doesn't mean he's necessarily evil. He's there literally to fulfill a role because that's why Christ went to the desert. He didn't go to the desert just to like hang out. He went there to be tempted, as they say. So like he went there and Satan went there and fulfilled the role. The same way that Judas also filled his role. And like some people think he's cursed for it, but like if you look at how the Last Temptation of Christ portrays it, which I think is probably more accurate to the truth. That he was like that Judas and Satan were like Judas and Jesus were like really good friends. Like it was like the one person he trusted the most, which is why it was him to be the one to kiss on the cheek. I think that Lucifer is a different character entirely, and Satan is really there as a literary device to act as opposer, which is what Satan means.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to comment on what I believe because I'm not sure, but I do think that more Christians should be aware that that is another interpretation of the stuff, of the word, because I think that if you understand that that's what some people believe, it's a lot easier to understand a lot more than just, because like most Christians, if you tell them something like that, they say, well, you're just blaspheming and you're not a serious person or whatever they say. Right?
This isn't high level research. Like just about any idiot can find the thing about Satan and Lucifer being conflated in like the 16th century.
Oh no, I agree. I mean, I think the thing is like when I read the Bible, it sounds a lot more like that than what most Christians say it. So that's why I always ask a lot of Christians. I'm like, where are you getting your interpretation from? To which I get attacked for asking such a basic question.
I don't. That's the reason I don't go to church anymore. Okay, like I can't keep my mouth shut whenever people say stupid things that like I know are like, or even some of the hymns and everything that we sing, and I'm like listening to like the words and stuff, like some of the old words and stuff like that. Like I mean, like they're clearly like I can't remember which one it is. There is one like hymn that repeats the same like it's kind of like hallelujah. It might be hallelujah, but it's not hallelujah. It repeats the same thing over and over again, and if you break down what it's saying, it's basically saying "Hail El" over and over again. It's not even talking. It's like literally, it's it's just like all these like they're like basically like a pagan hymn, if nothing else, which is I guess fine, but it's not the intention of what they're going for. Like I just think that I think that most of the church are so ignorant about their own faith. And like and that's fine for them, I guess. Like and like that's the reason why I stopped going because like what am I gonna do? What is my what good is it gonna be for me to go there and try to ruin their essentially what gives them comfort and stuff like that? Because like I don't think that God looks any less than those people. I don't think God is like idiots, not researching things thoroughly enough. I don't think God's like that at all. I think that God respects if God to whatever degree he exists respects people of all degrees of faith, and I don't think that I don't think we're at the I think that's part of the reason that Christ's sacrifice means anything is because it kind of both deepened and took off the requirements of it being a mystery religion. It took the veil. He removed the veil. That was the idea.
Somewhere's telling us if we play the last 10 minutes of mindful exposure. I'm seeing if I have the right one.
Okay, I've never heard of mindful exposure. That sounds interesting.
No, I haven't either. Here, I'm going to play what I found. You can let me know if it's the right one. Mad Hatter Method.
Take it.
Yeah.
Even though it wasn't suspended, just because I couldn't fight.
Yeah, the driver's license I think is a pretty big issue too. Like I think that's
Voters are going to be the ones that are like that would actually back if
There's a big echo going
that
on.
situation or like the better candidate, like morally, and what's best for the country, and it would make it harder for Hey, whoa, she's a lady. No, like
that was good. Oh, she's a lady.
Hey, whoa, she's a lady. No, like
that was good.
Mr. NPC projection.
Yeah, sounds good.
Is there something you'd rather me call you, or?
I mean that's fine. Like projector, I guess.
I don't know. It entertains me. Yeah, I only since I
maybe
started
I'll
being
settle on a name here.
That's getting into the Jovian chart. Have you done your Jovian human design chart? You might be a projector. No joke.
He has more stamina than me when it comes to arguing about something. I can tell you that. Like he outlasts. I don't know. But yeah, I'll catch you on the flip. I got to stick a fork in this. Like I want to figure out how to make everyone's phones stop working within a 50-foot radius, and get that achieved before I fall asleep. Probably trying to figure it out because I can't guarantee I won't like sleep in through the day. But then because I can't.
Oh. 3, 2, 1. You heard it here first. Bye, Aaron. Hey, guys. Super appreciate all of you. You already know that, though. It's like a little obnoxious, isn't it? I can't help it. I had a really nice time, and I'm sorry I wasn't as productive in the conversation with Aaron later, but it was partly too, like we talked about. He's got a lot to share, and I am not as well versed on some of the historical stuff. So, but he and I could talk Reiki and energy work like till we're blue in the face. So, thank you, Peggy. Thank you, Not Know. Thank you, Leafy. Thank you, Nigel. Forever Love, Boy, and Squirrel Snipe. And I know Super Spider was in here, and Patrick was.
Somewhere in time earlier on.
It looks like that was the end of it. I didn't see.
Yeah, that was just their sign off type thing. So I don't know. I tell you what, summertime. We'll look it up and.
It was earlier.
Next stream, we'll have it queued up and and check it out though. I do definitely want to hear it out. We just don't want to like fumble around with it all.
Or if you can send us the link with the stamp, I can play it.
If you do, just log in like you're gonna you're gonna come on stream. You don't have to come on, but just that way you can put it in private chat so we can click on it and we click the direct link to it.
Yeah, and Hank, sorry I didn't see your comment. I haven't been watching the chat, but yes, Satan does believe in you. I'm sure.
Satan does what?
Believe in you.
Oh. Well, that's sweet of him.
You don't gotta do that.
I don't believe in him like that though. Like me and him ain't like that, but it's okay though. I mean, I don't got no hate for Satan.
So okay, so I thought of another way to. I thought of another way to break through the conspiracy stuff with you, Jeff.
Wait, what? Well, hold on. What do you mean break through with? What are you trying to do?
I'm trying to bring you to Satan. No, I'm just kidding. I'm trying to.
I mean, what I'm trying to do, I'm just trying to explain my point of view, so you don't think that I'm some crazy conspiracy theorist, because I don't think
you're a crazy conspiracy. I think you're less of a crazy conspiracy theorist than most of the people that come on here. But I do think you have a conspiratorial bent to your thinking, and it's probably your writer's brain, like you said.
How about me, Jack? I mean, how about me, Jack?
But at the same time, it shouldn't matter what I like that I think y'all are. If you're going to be a conspiracy theorist, just own it.
That's fair enough.
I did.
It's just because I respect you and I care about your opinion, Jeff, and that's the honest truth. That's the honest truth.
But I know, but nobody should care about my opinion.
Care about your opinion.
I am not infallible myself. I'm trying to figure it all out too. Nobody should care about my opinion to the point where they're compromising their own.
Oh, I'm not compromising anything. I trust me. I'm 100%. I just don't think I always explain myself properly. So I try to explain and sometimes I fall back on generalized language that makes me sound like I'm like falling on that side of things. Whenever I'm just really just using generalized terms that don't really mean what I mean. So I'm trying to hone down and be more specific.
Well, Jack was gonna try to break through something to me or something. So
break on through to the other side. Give some Jim Morrison shit. Come on, let's do it, Jack.
I was about to sing the same thing. What were we talking about just before we tried to bring in the split?
Before Satan? Oh, like the
yeah.
Land and property.
About land and property, right?
Could it be Satan?
Yes, it could.
So you don't think that it's possible that people would try and prevent other people from taking their family's power from them?
Jack, there's some kind of noise on your microphone. I don't know if it's rubbing against your shirt or.
No, it's the wind. It's getting windy right now.
I guess there's nothing to do about it.
I'm trying to avoid the wind.
Get a windscreen for your phone, Jack.
It's all the conspiracy. Yeah, I'll just deal with it. Go ahead.
Okay, I lost my initial point, so I'm trying to remember. So, but basically, you don't think that people would try to? Well, okay, let me put it this way. Do you think that most people are as intelligent or understanding about certain things as you are in life, Jeff?
Probably not. And there are things I'm very stupid about myself. So there's probably areas where people are way more intelligent than me. And then there's probably areas where they may not be. But I don't think any of them are trying to stop me from making a living or acquiring property.
Oh, okay. I remember my point now. Here's the thing. Okay. So you know how we're talking about how all this woke stuff and the feminine control of the office and of the workplace, and they're just dragging women into the workforce to a point where it doesn't seem that it's purely natural evolution of, well, this is just the way things are because women just were dying to go into the factories, dying to get into the office. They were just like, couldn't wait to get out of college, to go through 25 years of education and then spend 25 more years or plus in a work environment, right?
I assume they're doing it like it's voluntary. They're doing it because they want to do it, and the ones that don't want to do it won't be.
Well, but you don't think that there's people who are psychologically, scientifically well versed enough to know the unintended consequences, at least at this point, of such things going on with men and women and society in general, right?
Like what? What is going on with them?
Well, like society breaking down, men and women not, 50% divorce rate, kids going kind of like out of control.
That's intentional on the part of some group.
Well, what I'm saying is you would say that there is certain policies that could potentially counteract such things. And that if they wanted to make it a priority, they could make it a priority.
Maybe. Like, I definitely know there's stuff on the men's side that the courts and the system's not very friendly to fathers' rights right now.
Okay. So all I'm saying is, like, if they have the knowledge and they have the ability and they have like literally unlimited resources of printing money, which is kind of what I'm referring to, and they're not
will as well, and a lot of that comes from the ground up. So if it's not important to enough Americans, there's no incentive for them to do it.
Okay. I agree with you. And what I'm saying is, if we have the willpower to go and blow up countries and kill millions of people, we could find the willpower to build people from the ground up within this small country relative to the rest of the world, right?
I mean, I guess we could, but are we? I don't think so.
Okay. And so you're just saying, so in your worldview or whatever, you would just say that it's more likely than not that it's just that people aren't self-aware enough or something like that?
What's the alternative? That they're being psychologically manipulated?
I think that is part of it from my point of view. Like, I'll just say what my point of view is. I think that is part of it. But I also think that in general, that people, for whatever reason, are either dumb or unself-aware enough. And here's another portion of this argument.
Over anything else, because I've seen plenty of evidence of that in my life, like lack of self-awareness.
Sure. And what I'll say also, this is going to sound racist, but it's not, is like, one problem that I have with, unmitigated immigration, or even just the amount of immigration coming to the United States, for example, is people from the rest of the world coming here in general are coming from a desperate situation more so than just stepping foot here, even as an illegal immigrant. I mean, their situation, at least in their opinion, drastically improves just by being here. And look, can't go that way. You gotta go this way. Sorry. Yeah. So my thing is this: like, if you go around the world and you take the average person from anywhere outside of here, and not Europe, and you bring them here, and you think Americans have the average amount of unawareness of their surroundings, and then you bring them here, you put them in a system where
self-awareness.
Sure, yes, but what I'm saying is, and you take the average person from another country, they come here, and then they're just happy to not be in the situation that they're in, and they're given a role, and all they have to do is fill it. That also puts a inverse pressure on them to become self-aware, because they're just happy to not be where they were, right? And then it puts an inverse pressure on the people who are here to have to make a change, because other people are filling a role that would otherwise have to be filled by someone who is familiar with our set of principles, our set of ideals, our set of Western values, right? Does that make? And and I would say the same thing as men versus women. Like women look at things differently than men, right? So women coming into men's spaces makes it hard for us to have any say within our own spaces, right?
Yes, that now you're speaking my language. That I understand.
Right. Yeah. And again, so I'm not sure exactly how to explain it, but all I'm saying is like, if we need to change people's will, political will, or whatever kind of will, how can we make that how can we make an environment that's conducive to that?
It depends on what you're trying to change or what you're trying to change it into. But I don't think women coming into men's spaces is a conspiracy. It might be an agenda, but they're very open about it.
No, that's actually a fair point as well. That's an interesting. That is an interesting. I guess I can't remember the word for it right now, but
And they're not coming into my space. Like they're not in my men's groups.
Well, what I'm saying is the average workplace
not happening.
The average bureaucracy, that's just what I should try to narrow it down to, because like obviously women are going to go like be underground plumbers or electricians or something where it's dangerous. But when you go to like functions of government, when you go to functions of corporate things, like women are happy to be in those positions because they've been instructed for whatever reason that this is a virtue signal of their coming of age, of their power, of their strength, or whatever, versus trying to get married and raise a family, and I'm not saying that's the only role of women. I'm just saying, like, for example, or local community building with their friends and family and stuff like that. Whether it's a conspiracy or not, I'm not sure. I'm just trying to get through the
connecting it to conspiracy. I kind of understand what you're saying, but it's not breaking through to the conspiracy part.
Sure. Well, I guess what I'm saying is this also. If I were in charge of things, wouldn't that be one of my number one priorities, is to figure out how to get people to become self-aware?
I doubt it. I don't know any politician that's there. Like,
well,
from the little I know, they focus on really practical things. You can't force self-awareness through. You can't legislate self-awareness. So as a political,
but you can legislate things that make it less likely. Is kind of what I'm saying, right?
How do you even incentivize that?
Well, it's easy. It seems very easy to disincentivize it, right?
How would you do that?
I say we're doing a pretty good job of that.
Is anyone's person's ability to affect somebody else's awareness of themselves?
Okay, let's take a different example. When you deal with someone who's, let's just say they're very obese or highly addictive personality or something like that, is there a common trait among these people that you could say, oh, it's usually this?
Not really. I mean, people say you could find. Well, there's two things, especially in like the substance use world. I'm thinking of some of these troll meth heads that come on the panel. Some people would claim you could find trauma in their background as an explanatory principle, and others would say there could be genetic influences, like if their parents were addicts or alcoholics, they could increase the predisposition of the child to succumb to those influences. So a combination of nature, which would be genetics, and nurture, which would be some kind of traumatic event, childhood event.
And you would argue that the nurture side is easier to manage.
I don't even think that would be like 100% common across every single member of that category.
Sure. So like sorry, there was a delay. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I apologize. Go ahead.
Oh no, I'm good.
But, well, like Stefan Molyneux used to say, well, we don't know if it's more nurture or nature, and even if it's not,
it could be different for each individual. I think some people could be more nature and nurture, etc.
Sure. Well, let's say that it's 99% nature and 1% nurture. Well, the only thing that we can easily affect is definitely nurture, so we should focus on that. Although it seems that obviously they're trying to normalize dealing with genetics on a more regular basis. But let's just take that out of the picture.
In any case, unless we want to genetically engineer people, nurture is really the only thing we can.
Right. Exactly. And so just taking it from there, right? Obviously, we would need to focus on nurture. And actually, I do think that in a lot of ways that it does seem that the government and people of power take some level of interest in early childhood development.
Yeah. And right now they're indoctrinating into a political ideology. And the only thing that keeps me from calling it a conspiracy is how open and blatant they are about it. It's in all their writings. Like they're not trying to hide.
No, and on that point, I agree. And so then it comes down to, well, then we must blame the average person who is either unaware or unwilling to resist it, at least in the past and seemingly even now. Like people are, they're happy to say that they're against it, but it doesn't seem that they're willing to really do much to impede it, I guess, right?
From what I've seen, as people become more aware, I'm thinking specifically of the child issue, that there have been protests of drag shows and that kind of stuff. So it does seem that as people come aware, some of them do have the potential to take action.
Oh yeah, sure. Well, but
what needs to happen is at the voting booth.
Exactly. No, and actually I agree with you on that point as well. And I think that's also kind of what I'm saying is like, people are willing to quote unquote protest or say that they're not happy with something, but like you said, they're not actually willing to.
People in the streets over Palestine, a country I bet they don't know a single thing about or could either point to on a map a month ago. And so something like social media and BLM, same thing. I think social media or whatever is getting people out into the streets to do this. This is not a normal day-to-day action that somebody would take in their life. So there's some prompt or catalyst that's getting them out there to do that. Now, whether it's this coordinated conspiracy, I probably not. It's probably a collection of social media propaganda. Now, it could ultimately be coming from or be coordinated by Palestine or the Muslim Brotherhood or whatever propaganda outlets they disseminate to. But by the time
or even
person, it's an array of social media. Some of it's probably propaganda. Some of it may be legitimate, sincere tweets or blog posts or videos or whatever.
Right. But of course they need people on the ground who actually believe in it enough. And actually I think that your critique right there of like something like the Palestinian protest is actually a very fair thing. And I would make the same argument for like the J6ers, for example, or the alt-right going to Charlottesville or any of that stuff. I think that it goes both ways. And I think that that's kind of been my problem with protests my whole life. I've always found it like weird how, like, I'll give you a great example. I always use this example. Like, I lived in California many years, and like every time I go to vote for something like clean water in California, it never passes. But every single time they try to fund a new thing to get teachers more pay, or let's build another toll highway or toll bridge, that gets voted in, right? So people are willing to go and act on these certain things that are like material comforts or something in the short term, but not on like basics like clean air, clean water. And then like California has this reputation, they're all about environment. To some degree, yes, but some of the more fundamental stuff, like they haven't built a new like dam or reservoir in like 40 years, right? Like you kind of can't really get clean water to people without systems of water that are functioning, right? You know what I mean? Like, that's why the flooding was so devastating to California when we actually did get a lot of rain for the first time in 15, 20 years, right? We didn't have a way to capture it. So all that water just wasted away. So now we're back to depending on, Nevada or something, right? So,
right.
And so this is where I'm saying, like, the system's only as good as the people who make it up if we live in a representative republic.
Like ours, the people that make it up are the people on the ground. It's the voters. It's us. It's the people that can advocate for their positions and get enough electoral support for it, whether it's through a politician, a ballot measure, whatever.
And so I guess the question comes down to, like, do you put the responsibility on people in government more, or do you put the responsibility on, like, on the ground leadership?
In a democracy like ours, I think you ultimately answer to the people. The accountability is with the people.
So basically, we're getting what we deserve, more or less, is kind of what you're arguing.
Getting what we vote for, we put in office.
Or at least what we don't resist.
Here in Seattle, they have the referendum system. So if you get enough signatures, you can get measures on a ballot, and each election people can vote. So you don't even have to go through politicians to get things passed. They passed the plastic bag ban, where grocery stores you couldn't use bags. You had to bring like your own bag, or you have to pay for a shopping bag. It's like a nickel for every paper shopping bag.
Yeah, here it's like 15 to 18 cents where I live.
They passed the composting law where you can't throw food in the trash, and you get fined if they go through your trash can and find food. You have to compost it and put it in this special trash can that the city picks up separately. So stuff like that, the people in that area had enough support behind to pass stupid laws like that. But that was done from the people on the ground up. The homeless crisis here is the will of the politicians that get elected, the city council. I was in the only district in the U.S. that had a socialist on the city council. She was a card-carrying socialist. And so a lot of the policies in my neighborhood were very, very far left.
Who issues those cards? I'm just curious. I'm just joking.
The what?
I just like, who issues the socialist cards? I just like, no, where do you go to get one? I just, because I don't want to be a socialist, but it might be nice to carry the card every now and then.
I joined during the Occupy movement. I joined not DSA, but it was called Socialist Alternative. It was a socialist group here, and I joined. I paid $5 dues, and I went to their meetings and I helped on their projects. They were like preparing all these posters and stuff, and they were so disorganized. They were kids. The leadership, there was almost no leadership. It was just chaos. Oh my God. And I went to one like work party to help with the stuff, and that's all I could take. I said, I cannot work with these people. They do not know what they're doing. They're not organized. And I quit worried about socialists.
Can you imagine if they had a bake sale and then they redistributed all the profits, like, to like all the people up the higher parts of the order, and then like they completely like undo themselves so I can walk through.
Well, that's funny. Like, that's actually why I encourage people to go get involved in politics, because I think that most places, if you have enough people who are actually willing to change their local political party, you can do it, especially if you could find people who have money to back you up. Because most ugly situation, from my very limited experience.
Confused problems. Why don't I have one? Give me one. I'm jealous. Like, how do you get one of those? Like, everybody else
free with it.
One on me. But I've kind of at the point where I've moved on past caring about either one of those perspectives. I just want to know, how can we make it work for us? That's all I want to know.
What Jack just said, get involved at a local level, or
how can we make it work
vote intelligently.
Like, I'm looking for cheap, fast solutions. I'm just kidding.
Well, we live in a liberal democracy. It's an ongoing process. It's not a cheap, fast, solve the problems once and for all type of system.
to legally siphon money off the system all the time without it causing any like real.
I've already told you, like for your immediate problems, you need to get really creative and come up with a way to pull in an income using the enormous amount of God-given talents that you have.
I have tried that.
You have way more of a competitive edge than the average person. You just have to figure out how to channel that and execute it.
I'm on Fiverr. You know, I'm on like various like apps.
Yeah, that's like little pay the bills tax. I'm talking about like a really creative project that's gonna make you.
Yeah, our project.
Something where like the streaming project.
I'm talking about how do
Meow Wolf.
How do we use the system to take over the streaming?
Create your own thing. Use capitalism. Create your own.
That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm saying I'm trying to create their own. But my problem right now is finding people with capital and how to get access to those people, and then how.
Well, we're working there. We still have to give them. We have to give them two things: a product worth investing in. So we have to show them what they're getting for their money, and why they should give it to us over other people, and a business plan so they could see it in black and white.
If anybody out there listening, anybody's an expert in business plans, please do let me know.
We don't need other people. We've talked about this. I have templates we can go through and make our own business plan. We can take it from this point to the time where it's time to start asking for funding. We need to work on the product. There's several things we can do that I've talked about over and over, and we've talked about. There's website, there's calendar, there's YouTube channel. There's like creating the infrastructure, the form, and then we have the ability to increase the content too. We've talked about doing on the street stuff. We could experiment at the airport. We've talked about getting different guests and collaborating with bigger streamers. Those are all action steps we can take right now ourselves today. We just keep talking about them, but we're not doing them. We're
many of those. I have reached out to like. I sent really like I tailored each letter specifically. I didn't create one form letter and send it out to everybody. I wrote a specific letter to each each business email of each of like 9 different streamers.
Okay.
And I'm looking for more that I think will fit our aesthetic and stuff like that. I'm looking for more streams we can go on to. I'm trying to work on the business plan again, but like it's just
if you want. And I may not be able to do it the next 2 weeks, but if you want one day, we can sit down and go over those templates, and that's at least the start. And also website, like we're supposed to think of a brand, like a branding, a name. Start making social media accounts and promoting it as a.
I have branding ideas. I pitch all my branding ideas to you. I get embarrassed because I don't think that anyone's gonna like my branding ideas.
Well, you if this is gonna work, you have to get past all that because this is.
You're right.
It's going to be work.
What you do is you just make it.
None of that stopped me, Meow Wolf.
What you do is you just make.
I have been scarred for the last couple of years, so I have a lot of.
What you do is you just make a placeholder like. NeuroJack for me is like a placeholder for something that I'm going to develop over time. You know what I mean? Like I'm probably not going to be NeuroJack when I get my brand up and running. It's just a template for me to work on until I figure out exactly how I'm going to pursue a media production. Right.
That's what Plague of Arrows has been forever. Yeah.
Right. And so that's what I would do is you just create, like you said, like clip channels, presence. And like I think also like a lot of our private Discord stuff, like, you know, put some of that behind like a paywall, like even watching movies and stuff like that. Like, you know, when we do a movie watch, you know, even if it's not something that we're going to watch, you just have it sitting behind a paywall.
We'll get into usage issues then if we're making a profit off of movies.
Yeah, you can't charge for movies. You can't. That's the
one I know. Well, but you can do but I'm saying like you can do some movies that aren't like that. Like I know a bunch of old movies that, and if you do it on something like Patreon, and again, I'm not saying that you're doing it with the intention of getting money, but my point is like you do it with the intention of showing, hey, I have premium content that you get access to, and because the truth is most people don't ever use that stuff, but they like to feel as if they have it.
if we make a movie, we can monetize the movie that we make, and that's another worthy project. I think we should put more.
I've already started outlining it. I started outlining it this morning before I fell asleep.
And I think you should start a Patreon, like just for you personally. I'm not quite ready to start one yet, but I think it would not hurt for you to start one for yourself, and you could even put the link. Streams.
I mean, what do you think about? If we're going to do this as a co-project, do you think we should rebrand the channel and like you could still have the Gen X Jeff stream for yourself?
I like our idea of a master channel that everybody could stream to, like some neutral channel that you just pull up that one channel, and our stream is going on it as well as on this channel, so that like a TV station, and there's always programming on it. Because StreamYard gives you the ability to stream to multiple channels. So we could still do our show and stream to the second channel that a larger audience might see.
And to be clear, I have no problem being co-host of Gen X Extreme Stream forever. I like that. I'm proud to be that. I'll tell anybody. I'm telling anybody proudly that I co-host the show. But I'm just saying, like, I didn't know how you were feeling about, like, you know, like trying to like rebrand into something that was more, because like we'll have like, we should like, I mean, like the thing with you and Anton, that's its own show, right? And if we do like the dating things, that should be its own show. And like, you know, we should like, you know, kind of like
within this channel do projects or do another, because I definitely want to keep this as my own brand, but I'm not opposed to collaborating on some different brand that we do as a group. And you might consider getting a channel of your own too to do projects. Huh?
That's what I'm trying to figure out. That's really what I'm asking is like that.
Well, I kind of envision that whatever this website collaborative we come up with would be its own brand and then have its own YouTube channel attached to it.
But I think for you, Chris, like
the collaborative could use for their projects and distribute.
Well, like for you, Chris, you're a writer. Like that's what you said. That's your strength. I think also like, you know, putting together written, thought out projects and then getting feedback on it. Like for example, some of your Gnostic stuff that you know, like I think you could turn that into a very successful radio show. For example, where you know we explicate certain things in a more or artistic way or something, right?
Yeah,
or something.
Cold.
Yeah, if you're able to write scripts, we could do videos. Like instead of live stuff, like pre-organized.
I have literally like one of the main reasons I've never like talked a lot about my views is because I am deathly afraid that like that my views are different enough and also solid enough that people would actually latch onto it like a cult, and that is a nightmare for me.
Well, you're trying to build an audience.
Yeah, but I don't want a Jay Dyer cult though, you know. Maybe I do.
Well, but cults make money.
That's head stuff that you're letting block you from. Like if that's the reason you're not taking action because you fear that it might turn to a cult, that's a really.
It's a silly one. No, I mean it's not the main fear
because your brain is going to spin up so many of those little like. Fantasy
my poor little ADHD brain has spun up every possible scenario, and it's like they're a writer / ADHD brain. So I think through every possible little like tiny like micro like thing like this, and I see all like these little faults that kind of like fault lines that break off and go into this like neurotransmitters in a brain. You know, they're all going these little branching paths, and like I see all this stuff, and like I get overwhelmed, and I get like that's the reason why collaboration. I create collaboration because without collaborators, I become an unfocused mess. I really do. I'm an unfocused mess without collaborators, without people to actually like help hone my skills into something. Even though I'm a good leader, whenever I have a good focus, but when it comes to my specific skills, I need a leader. You know what I mean? I'm
trying to focus you. And I've thrown out like several things we could focus on.
You're helping, Jeff. You're helping
right now. But how can I get you? How can I get the focus to stick? Like just we talked about having a meeting.
Yeah.
I think like website, which there's ways to throw up real quick and easy free websites for now until we can transfer to something more professional. We need a like the branding is something we could all work on right now. We could have something branded by the end of the week.
Yeah.
And then if we have a brand, we could start to use that to build a website. Like Jack
Well,
said, it could be a
I can tell you
placeholder. It doesn't have
I
to
can tell
be-
you the best way. I can tell you the best way to get started, Chris. If you just start a channel and just start posting clips of all the shows. That's kind of what I'm doing with my creative stuff, but it's extremely time consuming. Just clip and post, clip and post, clip and post. That would be extremely valuable to every creator, and you can even just mainly focus on the shows that you're on, and that would be a great way. And then we could just start sharing and getting likes, because I only have 12 subscribers, because I'm not really looking for that, although I would like to get more subscribers. I'm not like really pushing for it at the moment, but I think that something like that where we can just get more and more, it can gain traction
It wasn't there.
quickly, like short clips, like 30 seconds, 1 minute, 2 minutes.
Would you be willing to kind of like collaborate with us and do some editing work for our stuff, so that we can because your editing is really good, man. I think your editing is amazing. I don't have.
I'm trying to. I am trying to do as fast as I can clip stuff. I'm literally making all these videos to clear my phone of all the stuff that I've saved over the past 3 years. So as soon as I get through all that stuff, the problem is every time I join a show, I can't clip. So, or I got to go back and watch the show and clip. So I got to start writing. So for me, even if you could just write down timestamps on shows that you're oh, this at this timestamp it's good. This time, that alone would be great. And you can just send me a list hey, this show, this timestamp, this timestamp, this time. That would be great. That would be huge for me.
People use AI to help with that too.
Yeah, I don't know how to do that. So yeah, that would be great too.
It could timestamp, even if we got it broken up into rough chapters with a few topic headings, that would help us home in on where we might find good clips.
Yeah, because Machine Lies thing is 9 hours, and I can't, even if I try, I can't even think to go back and clip the last show that I was on, because I think there was a lot of good moments there, right?
Do ours have transcripts? I'm checking right now. If you could load a transcript into an AI and then ask it to summarize it for you. Let me pull up an old stream. Is that a YouTube? I don't see transcripts. Is that a YouTube setting I have to activate? Because some videos I can pull up a transcript. I don't have to watch the video.
Yeah, and actually, some of these things, where the trolls are trolling us, take clips of people trolling us and then mix that into a promo. That is very successful for a lot of people. Tommy does that, Flow State does that. A lot of people are doing that, where they just take people who are talking crap about them and use that as their promo. I would love to do that for myself.
I'm putting this website in the chat. It turns any YouTube video into a transcript.
I'm torn between doing the thing that is proven to work and trying to do something new that separates us from the pack. That's what I'm torn between. I guess we can do both.
In fact, I wrote it down that day. We went over the list of things that we feel separate us. I think we should build on what we have, because we have the momentum going. And incorporate. If you do something new, just incorporate it into that new thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. I mean, because we don't really have any trolls for ourselves. We only have it for machines, stuff like that.
No, I'm surprised.
Well, we will as soon as we start getting traction, we'll get trolled 100%. And for me, my measure of success would be if PF Young asked, hey, can I come on NeuroJack show, or can I come on Jeff show, or can I come on Chris show, can I come on the Machine Lies, or if Andrew Wilson is hey man, I know that we don't see eye to eye, but it would be great to have a conversation. That would be a win for me, not because I want their attention, but because it would say, hey, that means that the content is good enough that they want some of our audience. See what I mean? That's the way I look at it. And the only way we're going to do that is to get traction and get people get their eyes on the content. And so that means and I'll tell you right now, YouTube, it has to be a lot of shorts. As soon as I get to 20 videos, I'm almost there. I'm just going to start I'm going to spend a week just clipping all the stuff I've already made into shorts, because on my old channel, that's how I got a lot of traction. I got some of my shorts I had like 8,000 views on like a 5-second clip.
How do we do shorts with our format though? Because everything, because like it's in that phone format, then like do we have to like do like editing?
It doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is you experiment, because like some of the stuff I did like a stupid thing where I just showed like Stephon Curry talking about his shoes for 5 seconds. I got like 8,000 views in 3 hours. Like it doesn't even matter.
Right, so we wouldn't have to play. We wouldn't have to play. It wouldn't have to be a straight clip for our show. We could play other video footage.
Yeah, you can do stuff totally unrelated. That's why I'm doing all my clip collages, because when I clip it up, it's going to be random, because when I do the shorts, it's going to be all this random stuff. So I'll get like a huge mix of different people on their eyes will be on my channel. That's kind of what I'm trying to go for. You know what I mean? Because I want like maximum diversity.
We don't really do content that people. The live stream is more of a live experience, and to get the most out of it, you kind of participate when it's happening. We don't really do like informative or educational content.
Even though most of our viewers are
that people go to our channel to watch that one video on that one topic. It's
yes,
more of the
correct.
Live stream type.
But most of our viewers are post stream though. You look at all of our videos, like we get 2-3 live videos.
I know that surprises me, honestly. I have no idea who's going back and watching this crap.
I feel the same way, man. I feel the same way. But like, if you look at like there's the two streams that we did that were like where it was just like you, and where I was sick that day, and like that there were 7 views and 8 views in those. But every stream that like the two of us are on that we actually do for a decent amount of time, like we have like an average. I mean, and that's not a lot. It's a small number for YouTube, but we usually have at least 30 views. That we have, anywhere from 30 to 80 views.
Damn.
And like and like we don't ever have that many people in stream.
No.
So some people are going back and listening to our shows. I know Adaptable does.
And it's probably haters.
Really, done a lot of promotion. I haven't made that IDW post yet. There's places I could promote it that might bring this.
By the way, please invite me to any other communities that you recommend, like the IDW guy, Joe, or whatever. Like, I am interested in his stuff, but I don't really watch Discord that much. So like any communities or anything, I'm happy to get invited, because I do want to start promoting all of our shows on this different formats.
I think you're in all of the ones I know about. I try to limit mine so they don't get too overwhelming and stick to the few that are relatively active.
Oh no, I know, but I mean, I just want to go and post like our videos when we go live in different communities. Like I'm actively looking for other communities that even aren't exactly like ours. Like Flow State is a good example. Like,
have you tried posting in the Crucible? I did it once or twice.
Oh, I do. I do, but most of the people who watch my stuff are not happy with what I'm posting, even though it's not really an attack. But those guys don't really get where I'm coming from. They think because I'm dealing with machine lies that I'm not friendly to what they're doing, which I guess is kind of true. But the truth is, like, I just want us to. I think healthy conflict is what I'm aiming for, right? Not like troll level shit, but healthy conflict about important issues is kind of what my aims are, and I guess, and that seemed to be their aim until very recently as well. So that's why I'm a little confused. Like, they have no problem.
It's called the Crucible. We should build it into our title, some kind of word associated with conflict or battle, or. Right.
Yeah, I'm thinking like if people knew what Kumite was, that movie Bloodsport with Van Damme. Like, I want to do the aesthetics of that, but for an internet channel, but not really a debate, but just like contentious stuff. Like, actually, I'm pretty inspired by like Flow State's stuff lately, because even though I don't really like the drama that he has on there, but I think that kind of like somewhat mild but yet still contentious stuff is kind of what I like, because mainly because I think that having more females interested is good.
That's what someone else said. If we want to grow, you're gonna have to let the women in.
But Joshua said, You know, and what else I was going to say was that, you know,
I'm not gonna. I don't know the gender of who's watching anyway.
You know,
so I'm not...
I could try to make some shorts. Like if somebody could help me maybe edit them somewhat. I can try to make some. You know, have you seen like?
I think don't edit shorts that much. Just clip and post. Like I literally spend like 5 seconds on clips. I just clip, post.
Why don't you do that, Chris? Make that your next project. You wanted something to focus on. Just
I
practice making make like 5 clips that you think we could use.
5 clips a day would be great.
I was going to say, like,
and it takes 5 seconds.
The Dadvocate, the lady we're trying to get on the show right now. You know, most of her content is TikTok stuff where she does like these like really quick like things where she's like explaining men to women or explaining women to men kind of things. And like maybe I could do something like that where I could just do like I do clip like real quick like 1 minute YouTube short things that, you know, are like about like, you know, explaining this or that. Like maybe I could do something like that. I don't know.
And actually, you remind me. I think we should start posting on places like TikTok and stuff like that. Not to gain an audience there, but to advertise to get people to the live streams. Like to me, that's kind of what I
started posting on TikTok, and her community like grew by 10 times what it was from just post. She posted 1 little minute videos on TikToks to get them to go to her other community, and her numbers start to swell because TikTok's algorithm will feed it to the people who it knows are looking for that exact content. So if we do it on specific topic like men's mental health, TikTok will feed it to all the people on TikTok that are interested in men's mental health.
I just got to figure out like how can I like really do a 1 minute short men's mental health clip? How can I do a 1 minute short on like, you know, how to, you know, like about successful relationship stuff that I know from like being married.
So, do you have a YouTube channel?
I do, and I have a TikTok account too, but I don't know how. I have never used it.
Go on either one of those, and is your YouTube channel set up to stream live? Because you have to give it 24-hour notice.
Yeah, because it's so grandfathered in, and I accidentally went live like a long time ago.
You can use YouTube itself because you don't even need to. If it's just a short, you could probably just use the built-in YouTube recorder and just record on the YouTube as a short. And TikTok, I think, same thing. Or you could, if you want to play around and experiment, just use your computer camera and practice doing a few videos with your camera, and then start doing it on YouTube.
I can dress up a little bit so I don't look quite so haggard and something like that. I can dress up in my nicer attire and do something.
You can get Lindsay to make you some props and costumes. You can leverage Juniper.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I am. Those are all good ideas. They're all good ideas to think about.
Well, no, don't think about them. Just do them.
I mean, to do them.
Just like whenever you get a burst, like you were watching movies all night last night, you had a burst of movie watch. Next time you get a burst, just sit down and focus in on videos.
Well, the burst of movie watching thing was because I couldn't sleep and I was nauseous and I kept throwing up. So that's the reason why that happened. I couldn't have been recording videos then. It would have looked pretty bad. I would have looked worse than I do now.
No, what you do is you record when you feel like it, and then you just edit like whenever you feel like that. Like most of what I've done, like I just do it in stages where like I record a bunch of stuff, and then like when I have time to sit down, I'll just spend 5 seconds clipping this, and I'll spend 5 seconds clipping that, and I do it in stages, right? So you just kind of develop the habit, and it makes it a lot easier.
In addition to that, you can also go through the previous streams and just clip. And
that's exactly what I was saying. Like just clip, like just take like even stuff that's not really relevant, like just like funny like stuff that seems like have you ever seen Ping Trip where they take Alex Jones and just put it out of context where it seems like he's saying like, you know, homosexual things to somebody else in the room or something?
No.
Oh, no. Definitely go see that. Like go watch a Ping Trip video with Alex Jones or something. Like that is great marketing. That guy went from like 50 subscribers to like 1 million or something in like 3 months.
Ping Trip?
Ping Trip. Yeah. It's like it's like I had totally forgotten about that guy, but I'm gonna go back and look at that because that kind of that kind of stuff actually does extremely well for promotion. You can get like a huge. I wish I had thought of that before. That's what I was trying to do with my old Instagram channel, and I wish I had just stuck to that. I'm glad I remembered that. Yeah, check out Ping Trip. Very good example of edits that don't make any sense but get a lot of traction.
And like what me and Jeff and some other people were talking about this morning on Discord, we were talking about doing like a stream movie, like where the whole movie would be based all in the streams. You know, I was thinking about doing like a kind of almost a detective type thing where like someone's like trying to like solve a mystery throughout the streams by hopping from stream to stream type thing or something like that. What do you think of that, Jack?
Yeah, I think we should. We had plenty of good ideas too that we threw out this morning.
You think that would be a cool idea? We could do a short one just like as a test, and then we could try to expand it to a feature maybe. I have been in contact with the director that made Quarter 38. Have you seen Quarter 38 yet, Jack?
He dropped off.
Oh, I didn't notice.
I have to wrap up soon anyway because I have to run some errands before the movie, which is in an hour.
Yeah, I've got to as well. I may not be here for the start of the show, but I've seen season 2 twice, so I'll be fine.
Okay.
There he is again.
Okay. We were just wrapping up, Jack, because we have that show coming up in an hour. I have to go do some things.
Did you hear what we were saying about the stream movie thing, though, Jack?
Partially, I caught like part of it, and then I got disconnected.
It cut off. Yeah, we're just talking about like making a movie, kind of like have you seen that movie like Unfriended or something like that, where it's the whole thing takes place on like a Zoom call type thing. So taking a whole movie that takes place on panel streams, where like where someone like someone is trying to either find somebody or try to find something, trying to find the answer to something, and they're like looking through like all these things. Maybe it could even be like a thing where like there really isn't really an answer to it. It's like a mystery where like he thinks he's seeing all these patterns and everything like that. Like the character is like going through these streams trying to find like an answer to like some sort of question. We haven't figured out what that is yet, but like and then making like a movie like kind of where it's like a story told all through someone trying to like going through these different panels and stuff and trying to talk to this person and that person and trying to like kind of like playing investigator.
No, that's kind of like halfway what my collages are about. It's like jumping in and out of the panel verse. Like some of my clips are like stuff that I actually film in real life. Some of them are like stuff from TV. Some of it's from streams. Some of it's from like semi-private conversations. You know what I mean? Like I'm trying to like kind of blend it all to show like what it's like to live in the metaverse, kind of. So I think that's a good idea. Like something that's like intriguing because you don't know exactly what's the point of it, but still it captures your attention. I think that's I think you could write a whole movie of just streaming. Would be very interesting. Like we all film our personal life and then film going on stream. Yeah. Almost like a documentary, but it's kind of somewhat contrived to keep the level of interest up or something.
Well, there's this movie I started watching last night called Under the Silver Lake, and we might watch it later tonight, maybe after True Detective. I don't know if
I have my group tonight. Okay. And then I have to start packing.
After your group or something like that. I don't know. It's this movie about this. It's got Andrew Garfield in it, and it's the guy that made It Follows, and it's about this guy who like he meets this girl at his apartment complex, and she just disappears one night, and he sees this like weird symbol in her apartment, like after she's moved out. He goes out, but kind of like he starts seeing patterns everywhere he goes. Everything he sees, he thinks is like a sign, And so like he starts following all these. I didn't get to the end of it, but I think the idea is that like the idea I was getting was that it was about how he's like just seeing these patterns everywhere, and they're not really there. He's just kind of losing his mind a little bit. and like we could do something like that with the streams. Maybe it would just require some. It would require some coordination and some actual help from a lot of other streamers. But it might be a good way to build community too. So you get everyone to work together in one project.
Yeah, I like that idea.
Well, that's why most of my stuff is like I'm just grabbing from different channels and mixing it together because I'm actually not sure what the story is until I start editing, and then as I edit, I make a story as coherent as I can, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Well, I'm gonna write this. I'm gonna write it out because I'm gonna try to really hard to make it into something that's really coherent and solid. But like, I mean, yeah, not that you're not. I'm not. That's not a shade against. That's not a shade against you. But
No. What I'm saying is maybe start clipping because then you can write people that you know from this community into your story. That would be write what you know.
So yeah, that's 3 things you could do. Work on the next week or so: the movie script, clips, and making some shorts.
okay.
And then see
Sounds
what
good.
that inspires. I have to end because I
Yeah,
have to go to the store before the movie. So
Yeah.
we'll be on the Discord in an hour at 5:30 p.m. Central, watching episodes 3 and 4 of True Detective season 2.
And call me later, Jack, if you want to talk some more stuff about. I always love picking your brain about stuff. But yeah, anyway, yeah, I just it's okay.
Bye, Juniper.
Bye,
See you
Juniper.
tomorrow.
As soon as you say your name, she like perks up, man. You say her name, and she just perks right up. She's like, yeah, me, Juniper.
That's me.
She loves it when she hears like whenever people because like the only people she hears say her name is like me and Lindsay. So anytime somebody else says her name, she's like me, Juniper.
Me?
You're talking to me. Well,
Okay.
good night, everybody. If anybody's left out there watching, good night, and we'll see you. We'll have a pleasant tomorrow, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Yep. I'll see you later. Okay. Thanks for watching. And like I said, movie in an hour, and then we'll be back tomorrow, same time, 2 p.m. Central. Okay. Bye.